How's it going, folks? Stu here. Cinema. What a thing. Huh? We love it. We do. There's nothing quite like escaping to a world of characters and places that you couldn't get elsewhere. Losing yourself in world cinema, different languages, learning new things about the world, opening your worldview through different perspectives, and so many countless ways I think that cinema helps us as people and as a society grow and better ourselves. But also, it is fun just to watch people get shit thrown at their nuts, isn't it? That's right, we've got a new Jackass film. I don't know how to go about reviewing a Jackass film because it's a Jackass film. But Jackass Forever, it's the new one. It's the fourth film in the Jackass film series, which itself came after the Jackass TV series in the 90s. And at this point, we sort of know what's coming when we get into a Jackass film. It's just an hour and a half of watching a bunch of guys get together and do very silly, stupid, risky shit to each other's bodies. And boy, is it good stuff. Pranks are funny as hell. Pranks where people might be risking their lives are even funnier. Throw in some farts and penises and get some beers in your mates round and you just can't beat it, can you? But I'll be the first to admit that I was cautious about this new Jackass film, you know? We've had 3 of these already. Let's not beat around the bush. The cast are getting a bit old now. There's nothing I want less than to watch a Jackass film and not feel just unbridled joy. You know, that I don't ever want to put myself through that. So there's obviously a risk that it might end up feeling a little bit stale when you've seen enough of the same shit done before. At some point, eventually, it's gonna happen. You're probably not gonna feel the same way about that shit. That has not happened yet, because Jackass Forever was just nuts. I loved it. I had exactly the hoot of a time I wanted to have from a new Jackass film, and I'm so excited and pleased to sit here and say that I'm still enjoying it for what it is. And the stunts here are just as wild and fun as you've come to expect from Jackass. Something I think kind of gets glossed over, or not glossed over, it's obviously something that people know about Jackass, but I think in a lot of conversations about Jackass, it obviously often just falls back on like, yeah, it's just a bunch of dudes doing silly shit together. But what I've really come to enjoy about a Jackass film, about a Jackass experience, is that there's this sort of really peculiar creativity to it all that makes it into its own kind of art form. And I'm saying this entirely seriously. These are genuinely well-made and well-crafted stunt films. When I was younger and I watched the first few Jackasses, it was just like, it's funny that guy's getting hit in the nuts. And it still is that often, a lot of the time. But I think Jackass 3 for me was where I started to clock on that they were doing really creative shit from a filmmaking standpoint alongside those stunts. It had the big 3D gimmick in the third one, which for my money is probably one of the best uses of 3D when 3D was the big thing in cinema. But the sets and production design of that film felt like a step up, or rather that I was beginning to appreciate it for that over the just people hurting their nuts stuff. And that's carried over again here in the fourth one with Jackass Forever, where there's genuinely a lot of really interesting and creative filmmaking stuff going on here. Right from the get-go, the opening sequence of this one, continuing in a tradition of fun, creative opening sequences, is just supremely fun to watch because you can see that they've made this and they've had fun coming up with this idea and just delivering it. And it obviously took a lot of people to make. And I think that's what I kind of love about a lot of Jackass stuff. A lot of these pranks and a lot of these moments have a big crew around them that are actually there to make something. And it bleeds through everything, and it just adds another level to the whole prank stuff. The longer pranks I think are really fun to watch unfold because on one hand you're sort of tense waiting to see the payoff of the prank, which is often signposted nice and early on, but you're also constantly waiting to see how they end up delivering the punchline of the prank, which is a really fun atmosphere to sit in and play in. And thankfully, I love that the Jackass guys still at this point understand that atmosphere that they're playing in. And for all of the fun, creative, new, fresh pranks in here, there are also just a minute of someone cycling into a wall or throwing a fucking ball full pelt at someone stepping out of their trailer. It's a great balance of good sort of set piece stunts, I suppose, the big ones where you go, whoa, they pulled that off and it was wild. And then also just the kind of mundane people fucking around on set stuff, which has always been a really good part of Jackass. This feeling that they're just a bunch of guys there just fucking doing whatever the fuck they want to do and cameras happen to be rolling. It still hits and it's got that sort of camaraderie that makes it so enjoyable to watch these guys, because on top of just the fact they're doing dumb shit and that's fun to watch, I do genuinely care about these guys, right? And they all have their own personalities, obviously, at this point. We've come to love that about them. And it continues to be just nice to watch them hang out on camera together. It puts a big smile on my face, and I'm so happy that right from the first gag, the first prank of this new one, it felt like settling back at home with friends you hadn't seen for a while. What a super corny way of putting this, but I'm putting it that way anyway. For my money, one of my favorite aspects of Jackass has and will continue to be Chris Pontius. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is about the guy. I just could watch him for hours and hours and hours. And he has some incredible lines in this. And that's sort of what I mean about them all having their own personalities. There are moments where they'll just butt in with exactly what you think they're gonna do because it's that person. And I was belly laughing like I haven't belly laughed in a cinema for a long time. We talk a lot about very singular experiences in cinema and what the cinematic experience is in relation to sort of big blockbuster things, I think, a lot of the time. Like, for instance, June last year. But for my money, it is genuinely nothing quite like being sat in an entirely full cinema watching Jackass, everyone beer in hand, just collectively gasping and wincing. It's a completely nuts experience, and it's pretty much singular to Jackass. Other things have come along attempting to do similar things, and it's never quite hit like Jackass. I guess it's kind of an annoying way to bookend a review, but yeah, if you weren't sold on Jackass, it's more of the same shit. I don't know what to say. You're probably not going to enjoy it. This isn't going to win you over. If you know and love Jackass, you know what this is going to be, and you're gonna have a fucking hoot with it. I guarantee it. I loved it, and I also think it's weirdly a film that we all have needed for a while. I cannot wait for Jackass 4.5, the sort of interim ones they released where they add in all of the stuff that they ended up cutting out. And also, I'm still deeply in love with Chris Pontius. The first Chris Pontius penis reveal in this thing, try not to spoil things. The spoilers in Jackass films, things people care about at this point. But the Chris Pontius penis reveal at the beginning of this film, what a moment. That is cinema. A lot of talk about Marvel moments in cinema, people getting up and cheering. I had that for every time his penis appeared. Cast his penis in a Marvel film. Cowards. But what about you guys? Have you managed to get out and check out Jackass Forever? It came out yesterday here in the UK and everywhere else, I think. Assuming. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, if it's still working for you, or if you're starting to clock out on these guys throwing shit at their balls. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me talk about more shit, there's a subscribe button which you can absolutely click, and it will definitely show you my face more. Don't know why I said that, and it will do those things. And why did that sound sarcastic? I'll see you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films, but until next time, I almost feel like I need to just sit down and like let my balls know they're all right, and it's never gonna happen to you, my guy. Don't you worry.